In just a couple of minutes, we are going to watch a video together that brings into focus three different topics that this channel has been talking about for well over a year: states' rights, the Second Amendment, and the situation in Venezuela, and why they are all inexorably tied together. Here it talks about the Bolivarian militia, the people's militia in Venezuela that are standing up to defend their country. Now, that has a very different context, a very real context for their people as opposed to modern day Americans. We, of course, have this, and it's a hard thing to watch two groups of people argue with each other about this and watch them both be so terribly wrong. We have one group of people that thinks that the well-regulated militia part means that only the federal government can authorize who does and who doesn't have weapons. That's wrong. And then you have this other group of people who thinks that, well, this just means free state means the free state of mind that I was supposed to have, and it just means I can go buy any weapon for any reason in any amounts I want to, no matter what, without any real training whatsoever, and with the only concern being my own personal well-being. That's also wrong. But where I would like to start to prove this is the military. Basic training. The very first experience every soldier, sailor, airman, marine, guardsman has when they join up to do something larger than themselves. I know I have a lot of you in my audience, former military, that can probably attest to a lot of what I'm going to say. You can debate all day long what those in D.C. do with our military, the choices they make for them. But as far as the intent of the young men and women, it's not to do evil. In fact, quite the opposite. The APFT doesn't discriminate, regardless of how tall you are, where you're from, what your age is, what your color is. Well, I mean, there's some discrimination on age, but generally speaking, 18 to 21, there's not really any discrimination that goes on. The first thing that you learn in the military is to be part of a unit. You work together for the common good, for the unit. If you're not a team player, if you're in it to win it just for you and you alone, you won't make it in the military. You will not make it in the military. It's the first thing they teach you. The gas chamber does not discriminate. It does not care whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're a man or a woman. Now, strangely enough, BRM, basic rifle marksmanship, actually does kind of discriminate in the sense that most of the females that go out and learn to fire a weapon for the first time don't have any bad habits they've learned from the men in their lives, like male soldiers have gone out hunting or whatever, and they accept the training first time a lot better, and this is proved out in the statistics. A lot higher percentage of female recruits first time out do better than male. In fact, there's a larger percentage of those who shoot Hawkeye, female to male. But the misery and the suffering is distributed equally in basic combat training and in AIT. It just is what it is. AIT is Advanced Individual Training for those of you who haven't been in the military before. This is a level of miserable that you can't say is any worse for any person than any other. And I'll say it again. The entire thing that they are trying to teach you in basic combat training is to work as a team, work together, and have as your goal the well-being of the group over your individual self. And that's almost biblical in the sense that greater love hath no man than this, than a man laying down his life for his friend. And I know a lot of my military guys will attest to this as well. Exhaustion doesn't discriminate. You can sleep on demand. That's why everybody dresses the same. Everybody looks the same. The only distinction is that little tiny name tag just so that they can get your specific attention if they need to. You spend a lot of time with your eyes forward, open, ears attentive, and mouth shut, learning. It's not about you. So it brings us to this. George Washington. A free people ought not only be armed and disciplined, but they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to maintain a status of independence from any who might attempt to abuse them, which would include their own government. Absolutely true. This is why I've said, if you want to be part of the militia, heck, I don't care whatever weapon you want to have it. See you at 0500 Accountability Formation for training. And if you're not good with that, then I don't want to be in a militia with you at all. If you don't think that you are in need of training to be part of the team, to be part of the group that stands up this country back the way it was supposed to be, as 50 independent units. All of you making the argument of, well, united we stand, divided we fall. Then we should have stood united with the Crown of England. Shouldn't we have? Because sometimes division is necessary, but sometimes working together for common good is necessary. There was no working with the Crown for common good, and there's going to be no working with DC for common good. Only the people of your state can do that. Now, that in context, let's go ahead and watch this.
Y aquí pasa algo, nos va a conseguir un pueblo en pie de lucha. El modelo que defendemos siempre se va a imponer ante el modelo de guerra, que es el modelo que nos pretenden imponer los gringos.
La ofensiva del imperio no es una ofensiva contra un gobierno, es una ofensiva contra una idea.
What that guy just said was so true, and he's been in other videos before talking about the criminal petrodollar.
On January 23, 2019, here in Caracas, opposition politician Juan Guaidó declared himself interim president of Venezuela.
Exercises like this have been taking place across the country and with even more frequency since Guaidó was recognised as president by the US and European countries, basically putting the possibility of military intervention on the table.
Guaidó's self-proclamation was the latest in a series of long-standing US-led attempts to overthrow the Venezuelan government, of first Hugo Chavez and now Nicolás Maduro.
La milicia como tal es un cuerpo especial que organizó el Estado venezolano para la defensa integral de la nación.
Founded by Chavez in 2008 to assist the armed forces, Venezuela's Citizens Militia had 1.6 million members by December 2018, according to current President Nicolás Maduro. This means that around 1 in every 20 Venezuelans is now in the Citizens Militia.
If Trump is planning a military invasion, I think he might be quite surprised in terms of how many people are actually waiting for him.
Aprendí a leer, a escribir. Estoy ahorita haciendo en la universidad.
El modelo que defendemos siempre.
Sorry about that. Just wanted to make a quick comment about the fake weapons they were using. Of course, even in the U.S. military, the vast majority of the training that you do with your weapon, how to handle it, has very little to do with basic rifle marksmanship. In fact, you're not even issued ammunition until you get to the range. You don't walk around with loaded weapons. You spend the vast majority of your time with weapons that don't even have magazines in them. Just getting comfortable with the weight and having them around and understanding how they work.
Se va a imponer ante el modelo de guerra, que es el modelo que nos pretenden imponer los gringos.
La ofensiva del imperio no es una ofensiva contra un gobierno, es una ofensiva contra una idea.
On January 23, 2019, here in Caracas,
A leer, a escribir. Estoy ahorita
Sorry, I just accidentally moved the line. Pardon me on that.
haciendo en la universidad gestión ambiental.
¿Por qué decidiste meterte en la milicia?
Uno tiene que aprender a aprender cosas de hombre, porque si uno no aprende, cuando llega el momento, a uno le caen de sorpresa. Mire, la milicia para el pueblo es importante porque así uno le da como poder a uno, al pueblo, que a la mujer antes le daba miedo defender a su patria, ahorita no. Yo era una mujer que todo le tenía miedo. Aprendí mucho aquí en la milicia y ahí soy una mujer que no le tengo miedo a nada.
iconic barrio El 23 de Enero, a historic mainstay of support for the government, and also home to some of the capital's most important revolutionary movements known as colectivos. In the mainstream press, colectivos have been demonized as sinister, almost terrorist organizations. We're going to go and speak to one of these colectivos to hear what they think about the dangers Venezuela faces and to find out how they plan to confront them.
Quienes nacimos y crecimos aquí, crecimos al calor de la represión desmedida, sistemática contra los habitantes. Eran allanamientos, tortura, persecución, asesinatos políticos. En ese marco crecimos nosotros. Y la juventud que se estaba levantando en aquellos años, ya a mediados de los años 70, era perseguida, porque como el 23 de enero estuvo la presencia de la guerrilla en la década del 60, todo sujeto, hombre o mujer, joven, era considerado un guerrillero. Esa represión desmedida nos llevó a la mayoría de los muchachos jóvenes que estábamos creciendo en aquella época a militar en la izquierda. Esa lucha que se ha forjado con el tiempo y hoy concretamente en el siglo XXI, donde a las organizaciones sociales se le denomina colectivos porque hay muchas que surgieron con el calor del proceso revolucionario, como los consejos comunales, como las comunas, como los comités de barrio, están organizándose ahora. Se le dice colectivo porque es un colectivo, es la comunidad organizada.
So speaking to Juan, I think what really came out of that conversation was how Venezuela's got this really rich history of struggle. And the place where we're stood right now, La Coordinadora in the 23 de Enero barrio, has been such an important centre for that.
He militado desde muy joven, pues, en la Coordinadora Simón Bolívar, un movimiento sociopolítico que hace vida y que nace en el seno de esta populosa parroquia 23 de enero. Nosotros siempre decimos que somos producto de las luchas que se libraron en esa época de la Cuarta República.
¿Qué fue lo que te trajo a formar parte de la milicia?
En mi caso, ¿por qué yo me incorporo en la reserva? Porque hago vida política. Porque llegó Chávez a la palestra política. Porque teníamos un gobierno revolucionario, bolivariano, indigenista, de inclusión. ¿Ves? Y eso nos decía a nosotros. Y si tú haces una lectura política de los procesos por lo que han pasado en otros países, eso decía, nosotros tenemos que organizarnos, nos tenemos que formar militarmente. Y eso no debe ser tabú decirlo.
Nosotros somos una nación independiente y soberana. Y para tal fin tenemos aquí nuestra milicia, preparada y entrenada para defender nuestra querida patria Venezuela. ¡Chávez vive! ¡Chávez vive! ¡Leales siempre!
Las Fuerzas Armadas tienen un papel y nosotros vamos a tener otro. Pero son ellos los que van a hacernos el llamado, no es que nosotros vamos a salir como locos, no señor. Aquí las cosas tienen que ser bien organizaditas y eso es lo que se quiere. Aquí nadie va a salir a inventar cosas. Nosotros sabemos cuándo nuestro presidente nos va a necesitar, pero vamos a estar bien organizados para cuando llegue ese momento. Dios quiera que no. Si tú estás en un país donde tenemos un gobierno revolucionario, donde sabemos que nuestro enemigo histórico no le va a gustar eso.
That's a very good place to stop for just a second. The things that you just saw were going on in this country in the 1700s against the crown. They were having to organize themselves, govern themselves, realizing that their desire to be separate from the crown was never going to be legalized or done in a civil manner.
Porque siempre he querido tener dominio en América Latina, ¿verdad? Ahí van a empezar a recibir las amenazas. Estados Unidos no duerme. No duerme. Ahorita el que le quita el sueño a ellos es Venezuela. Un país pacífico que quiere una transformación por la vía pacífica.
US President Donald Trump has said that all options are on the table for Venezuela, including a military intervention. We could be into Plaza Bolívar because there are people signing a petition that they want consent to Trump opposing any US military intervention in the country. We're going to go and find out what they've got to say now. ¿Tiene un mensaje para el presidente Trump?
Que se lo respete, que aprenda a amar a todas las personas, sea negro, sea blanco, que respete la integridad de Venezuela como nosotros lo queremos, a todos los países y a él también.
Hay una componente del imperio que siempre quiere hacer lo que siempre está acostumbrado a hacer lo que le da gana y ya nosotros no estamos dispuestos a permitirlo aquí en Venezuela.
Porque aquí hubieron elecciones presidenciales y las elecciones presidenciales las ganó el presidente Nicolás Maduro.
Y ya firmaste la carta.
Por supuesto, ya vine a firmar por la paz porque el modelo que defendemos siempre se va a imponer ante el modelo de guerra, que es el modelo que nos pretenden imponer los gringos y todos sus aliados, lo cual no le vamos a permitir como pueblo, porque los venezolanos y venezolanas somos gente de paz. Defendemos la nuestra soberanía, no queremos injerencia, nosotros decidimos cómo resolvemos nuestros problemas.
Ningún país del mundo quiere que matemos a Venezuela. El único presidente que manda a Venezuela es el presidente Nicolás Maduro. La milicia somos todos, somos un pueblo.
The Venezuelan government and its supporters have repeatedly called for peace, but with Washington stepping up pressure and attempting to set up a parallel government through Guaidó, the citizens' militia and other parts of the army are increasingly preparing for a possible US-led military attack. While we were there, the army's different combat units took to the streets of Caracas to show people what was in store for any would-be foreign troops on Venezuelan soil. In some of Caracas's barrios, the low-income neighborhoods that have historically been the government's political support bases, the government fighters were greeted as heroes. Apart from the threat of direct military intervention by the US, Venezuela is already subject to crippling sanctions from the Trump administration. Back in Barrio 23 de Enero, another colectivo called Alexis Vive are organizing resistance to the economic crisis these sanctions have helped to produce.
Nuestras armas es la producción, ¿sí? Que nosotros creemos en una línea de defensa, sí. Están las Fuerzas Armadas Nacionales Bolivarianas, están las milicias bolivarianas, ¿sí? Y nuestra defensa, la producción, la construcción de una lógica distinta que realmente golpee la lógica del capital. Entender que la ofensiva del imperio no es una ofensiva contra un gobierno, es una ofensiva contra una idea. ¿Qué quieren matar? El modelo de emancipación latinoamericano que lidera el comandante Chávez, ¿sí? Lo que significa la revolución bolivariana, para eso es lo que están tratando de oficiar. Y por eso es que hoy en día hay un enfrentamiento no es contra el gobierno, sino que es directamente contra el imperio. Entonces había dos cosas que hacer: radicalizarse contra el imperio, pero hay que radicalizarse también contra la corrupción, la burocracia, ¿sí? La ineficiencia, y hacer revolución dentro de la revolución. El objetivo último de la Alexis Vive y de los colectivos políticos, social y productivos: la defensa que la asuman los cuerpos combatientes, las milicias bolivarianas, y en todo caso nosotros avanzaríamos sobre un tema de la defensa integral de la nación. Las armas que vamos a apoyar la producción.
The weapon we will build is production. Imagine everybody on the same team for the same goal, seeing their job as every bit as important as the guy with the weapons job. Amazing.
We were taken on a tour of Alexis Vive and visited one of the centres used by the community to plan their work.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
Aquí queremos hacer un parque infantil. Construcción de un centro cultural para la cultura. El número 2 lo queremos hacer aquí. O sea, nosotros vamos haciendo nuestro plan de desarrollo comunal, como lo vemos ahorita, del 2019 al 2025, con el plan de la patria que impuso el presidente Nicolás Maduro.
Y los arquitectos, los constructores vienen de la misma comunidad.
La comunidad. Son gente que son profesionales, que se unen a nuestro trabajo. Entonces tenemos al arquitecto, tenemos al maestro de obra, tenemos al albañil, tenemos a los ayudantes, y trabajamos en todo eso. Es un plan que hacemos en Asamblea de Ciudadanos y Ciudadanas.
Despite the economic attacks and military threats which Venezuela faces due to the ongoing US-led coup attempt, colectivos such as Alexis Vive continue to actively build their communities in conjunction with the government. This community resistance to Washington's regime change plans for Venezuela is rarely shown in the Western media. Back at the Coordinadora Simón Bolívar, pensioners had arrived to add their names to the nationwide petition calling for peace.
O sea, la carta en sí está escrita por Maduro.
Sí, está la mano. Carta abierta al pueblo estadounidense. Esta es la carta para que llegue allá. Esta carta le va a llegar allá.
Se supone que la carta está en defensa de nuestro gobierno.
Sí, apoyo.
I know I've been stopping a lot through this, but I think it's important to look at the people standing in front of you. They're old enough to have lived under Chavez, and they're also old enough to have lived under the pro-US groups back in the 90s and 80s as adults. And having experienced both, this is what they choose. Think about that.
Y para nuestra Venezuela, porque nosotros queremos que salga adelante siempre.
Queremos la paz, mucha paz, eso es lo que queremos.
La idea es que la gente se forme, que tenga conocimiento, pero que se forme en unión cívico-militar, porque nosotros vamos a jugar un papel muy importante a la hora de que en este país tengamos que salir a defenderla, porque por supuesto, y nosotros vamos a defender con la vida.
The stakes in Venezuela are really high, and the national government is clearly planning for the possibility of a military intervention. But there's also the people themselves who are ready to resist. whether that's the men and women we've spoken to in the Bolivarian militia or the community groups here in El 23 de Enero who are trying to come up with different ways to solve the economic crisis. Chavez famously said that this revolution is peaceful, but it's not unarmed. And those fanning the flames of war, both inside and outside the country, would do well to take note just how dedicated people are here to defending the gains of their revolution.
No tener que batallar por sus hijos, no tener miedo, ir hacia adelante. ¿Por qué? Porque usted se va a dejar quitar su riqueza y por tenerle miedo a ellos. Pero nosotros estamos firmes, el pueblo, porque como dijo Chávez, el pueblo es milicia. ¿Qué es lo que hizo entender? Que nosotros somos los que vamos a defender a nuestro país. Nosotros no queremos cosas malas, nosotros lo que queremos es paz y que nos dejen tranquilos.
El pueblo es el que mantiene este proceso. Y el pueblo es el que defiende y va a seguir sosteniendo la revolución. La revolución no la van a sostener ni siquiera las instituciones. Esto es un proceso del pueblo y el pueblo tiene que seguir apoderándose de esto, tener sentido de pertenencia de sus luchas políticas que se vienen librando. Y eso es una herramienta que quiera hacer, eso es importante. La formación militar es importante.
That is a very interesting way to leave that. Military training is important when the people do it for themselves, absent of the government. This is why every effort made by DC in this greatest geopolitical miscalculation ever in history is going to fail. It's what they don't understand. It's what they can't conceive of. Bullets and bombs cannot change people's minds. And there are millions of people down there that have a goal that they're working together for. Did that look like a bunch of lazy people sitting around just waiting for a government check and sitting in front of the TV that the government took from the rich people to give to them so they had free stuff? Is that what you think evil, terrible, horrible socialism is now? If it is, I don't know what to say, honestly. These people work harder for their well-being and their revolution than most people do at their jobs here in America. Like, share, subscribe.